Two recap show here for you guys. Trevor, Sikkema, Max, Chadwick. Two recap show here for you guys. Trevor, Sikkema, Max, Chadwick, Dalton, Wasserman with you guys. And we got a fresh 9 names to bring to the table of our favorite standouts that we saw from the day from both the American and the national team, the trenches, the defensive backs, some linebackers, running backs. Everybody stood out today. We got full pads today, fellas. So it was just shells for day one. So it was just the shoulder pads. And so, yeah, okay, obviously the pads are cracking. You know, you're getting a little bit of physicality in there. But when the full pads are on, that's when the football mentality, I think, really takes a step up. And I felt like that was the case today. I felt like the intensity all around, the execution, the speed of these practices was a level up. Did you guys see the same?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. The intensity way higher than yesterday.
Yeah,
right? And I think
totally.
the players get into this mentality, and even the coaches do, where it's like, okay, full pads for 2 days. This is going to be the real thing now. And you could feel it, I think, especially on the defensive side of the ball today. That level of physicality was really brought through every part of practice.
Yeah, the intensity was higher. Thankfully, the temperature a little bit higher. Today, too.
A little bit higher. I don't know about right now. I'm still shivering a
no,
little bit.
It was better than yesterday, though. Yesterday, I was freezing. I confused Morello Height for David Bailey yesterday because my brain was frozen. My brain was completely frozen.
It wasn't.
For sure.
Okay, you're right. It's not that cold. We're not going to do that again today.
Hopefully not. Yeah, we'll see.
But where you want to start? Who wants to? You guys. Either one of you guys. Starting with
tell you what,
who was going to stand out?
I'll go with the one name that we did mention yesterday, but he was so good today I have to mention him again. In the first practice, we talked about the defensive line dominating really this entire week so far. You could feel that in full pads. TJ Parker from Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, he is making an absolute statement this week. One of the things I was looking at when watching one-on-one and individual drills earlier in the day was coaches really emphasizing the run game and setting the edge in the run game. There was a lot of guys that did that well, but nobody better than TJ Parker. Did a really nice job in one-on-ones again, showed the violent hands and the physical nature that he plays with. And then in team drills, it felt like in that first practice, no runs, just not a single run for the offense went to the outside man. TJ Parker, guys like Denai Dennis, Sutton off the edge too, setting the edge so hard that you can see the balance in his game. You know, you talk about pressures and sacks and everything that goes into it, pass rush win rates, but the run defense grades for him the last 3 years have been so consistent, and he's brought that again here, just planting his feet, setting the edge, getting the long arm going. I was really impressed with just every facet of his game today, but especially in full pads when teams are trying to run the football now in these practices, they did not let anything get outside. Parker was outstanding again.
Yeah, you see on the screen 80.7 overall PFF grade this year. It was even better the previous season. We had run defense and pass rush grades, both in the 80s. This year it was in the 70s, so it wasn't as good this year as it was last year. But Max, you're seeing this player really stand out once again, like he did 2 years ago. Now we're seeing him stand out again here.
I said it before. He is the best prospect at the Senior Bowl right now. I truly believe that. I think he's worth a top 25 pick in the NFL draft, if not higher than that right now. And you mentioned before, sure, it was a quote-unquote down year, but if a down year for you is over 50 pressures and an 80 PFF grade, that's pretty dang good, right? So TJ Parker in his career has 85-plus career PFF grades in run defense and as a pass rusher. I think he's being really underrated right now in this process. I think TJ Parker is well worth a first-round pick. And again, in my opinion, he's the best player at the Senior Bowl right now.
Yeah, and what we just had on the screen there for you guys is what you can see if you go to PFF.com and go to the big board. So you can search TJ Parker's name. That player card comes up. It shows you not just the grades that we had from this past season, but the last couple of years as well. So you can see the full career. You can see his by-game breakdown of all the grades. And really, when you look at that, they're just extremely solid, like all the way across the board. You even see the games this year. Yeah, did it really stand? Did he earn those elite 90 and above games? No, not this season. But look at it. I mean, there's barely any games under 70. Certainly 65 that he had this entire year. And it just shows exactly what he's been doing here this week. And has he had the flashiest pass rush reps? No. But I have not once seen TJ Parker be overwhelmed or overmatched at all whatsoever. The floor for him, in my opinion, is just so high as a player. So I also think the world of TJ Parker, and I agree. I think that we've got to talk about him once again as a solidified first-round pick. Max, what about you? Who's the first guy you want to talk about?
I want to shout out. So yesterday I was all about O-line and D-line for me. I wanted to watch the DBs and wide receivers more today. I'm glad I did because Bud Clark from TCU, he was unreal in the first practice today at the Senior Bowl. This is a guy who has been a superstar at TCU over the last 2 years, too. In fact, he has the third best PFF grade of any safety in the country over the last 2 years with a 91.3 PFF grade. Only two above him, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Caleb Downs. Pretty good company right there.
Could very well be first-round picks at the safety spots.
Absolutely. And you saw Bud Clark today had an interception. He was so good in the one-on-one drills and coverage. And then also in the team period, what I love for him too, he was great as a run defender as well, making a lot of plays in run defense too. So I think Bud Clark, who is a really good safety class this year, in my opinion, he's getting a little underrated right now, but not after today, because he was one of the best players on the field in day 2.
There was a moment in his career where he did play a lot of free safety, and then TCU decided to put him down in the box more, make him more of that big nickel kind of player, right? And he plays a lot in the box. And you mentioned it, the run defense. And TCU was one of the best run defenses in the country this year. They had a lot of good run defenders, but he was a big reason for it. And NFL teams now, that versatility that Clark can bring you, they're looking for that, right? We talk all the time about Kyle Hamilton and Nicky Manwari and the impact that they have on defenses because they can defend the run even as smaller guys, and the coverage ability is still there, whether it's in the flat or vertically down the field or one-on-one like you mentioned earlier today. He was outstanding. He's been just such a really consistent, versatile player. I think that versatility is something that fits in any defense and what these teams are trying to build in the modern NFL.
Yeah, again, you go to the PFF big board and you can see all this information for yourself. The snaps by alignment that he's had throughout his career. Played almost all of his snaps in 2023, 2 years ago, in the slot. There were 393 snaps, but you mentioned it, over 2024 and 2025, a very diverse listing of snaps. He still played a ton in the slot as those slot defenders, but you mentioned all the plays that he played in the box. 2 years ago, he was much more of a box defender with over 400 snaps there, but getting a ton of work as a free safety as well. And so he was super versatile, and I think his practice also really embodied what we talked about at the top of the show, where it was just another day for him out on the field and just playing so confidently, playing so fast. I mean, that play that we showed where he's just coming downhill on that route and breaking it up for a great PBU, and then afterwards, his teammates are right there, and as defensive backs love to do, they're making sure that you know about it when they make a play on you. But, I mean, that's what he's doing. And that's what you want to see from defensive backs. That has to be a position where you play with the utmost confidence. And to be dropped into an environment like this, especially for a position like defensive back, where it's natural that you're going to lose reps. You're not going to have a perfect day. Nobody at defensive back is ever really going to have a perfect day out here. So that losing these reps are all a part of it, but remaining confident is so important. And I think that Bud Clark did a really great job of just showcasing himself as a versatile and impactful defensive back here. We talked about this guy yesterday, but I had to lead the show off with him because I was once again so impressed with Tyron Montgomery, the wide receiver from John Carroll. And there's a reason why I'm not pulling up the big board for you guys to see where he is on the big board, because we didn't have D3 data on him. And so former PFF legend there, Steve Palazzolo, making sure that we need to get Steve, you need to get on that. You need to get on that. Got to get Steve back here to make sure that he
get the grades going. Boy.
You truly do. You truly do love it.
We're officially off the rails.
We are, absolutely. Trying to get back onto the rails here. Ty Montgomery, though. We need to figure out, love you too, Steve. We do need to figure out how to make sure that we get him on the big board, because I guarantee that after the clips that he has put out there this week of a highlight film, we're going to have a lot of draft fans who want to run the mock draft simulator and be able to draft him. So this is somebody who wins with a ton of athleticism. I mean, he had a decent package of releases that we even saw today, even more so than yesterday. The catch of the day, which you guys can see on the screen right here, where he just went up above the rim in the end zone. I mean,
on Chris Johnson too, no less.
He's only been playing football for 3 years, 2.5 years. I mean, he's barely been able to play football. He's much more of a college basketball player than he was a football player. And so, again, we said it yesterday, but shout out to the Senior Bowl staff for identifying this player as somebody that not just stood out at the D3 level, but could actually hang here at the Senior Bowl. And he's not just showing that he belongs, he is one of the best receivers here. And I cannot wait to dive into his tape when I get home to make sure that we figure out a way to get him on the big board. And then I also can't wait for Indianapolis to see what he runs, the jumps. I mean, every single time that he's in the air, it's like he's floating. Like, I genuinely think this guy could be somewhere around 38, 39, 40-inch vert because of what we're seeing here out on the field. I've been so impressed with this player over the last couple of days.
Both days in the national team practice, he's been the best wide receiver, I think, by far. I mean, there's not as much depth in that group as there is in the American team group, but he has just been outstanding. The breaks, like you mentioned, the explosion out of his breaks, the route running, the releases, the ability to leap. Day one, he made the catch over Thaddeus Dixon in the team period as well. And he's going. Think about the players we're talking about him going against, right? Chris Johnson, top 50 potential. Colton Hood, top 50 potential. Thaddeus Dixon could be a mid-round guy. I think when you look at him, he's just come in here. He's been fearless. He trusts his ability. He's done everything that he can possibly do to raise his stock. And you're right, going forward, and if we got to find it on YouTube or something somewhere where we can find this guy's tape to see how he's racked up again over 2,500 yards the last 2 years.
But
he's been
we got people. We got people.
D3 tape.
We love YouTube, obviously. That's how everybody's watching. We appreciate you guys. But we got people. We will be able to get the John Carroll.
I remember the pre-PFF days for me, having to go through like the dark web to try to find tape on guys. We might have to do that for John Carroll tape, honestly. But you guys are right.
Don't expose yourself here.
I'm not. But listen, I just, again, credit to the Senior Bowl for even finding this guy and bringing him out here.
Right.
And then for him to be one of the top players here is always one of the coolest. You mentioned yesterday Quinn Miners, right, coming here to the Senior Bowl and being one of the top guys coming from Division III as well. So whenever a D3 guy is here, and a lot of people kind of roll their eyes and be like, why is he here? A lot of the times they get it right. And this guy was an absolute star today and yesterday.
There are very few times where I think that the Senior Bowl takes a swing at somebody who comes from a much lower level of competition and they just don't belong. Because I think it's easier to see when guys at that level, it's just like, okay, they're playing on their level of football. But then when you see somebody who really stands out, like you mentioned, there's just not a lot of times where they bring these small school guys and they totally strike out. Not that it's always as good as it's been with Montgomery, but I think that it's a worthwhile bet to make with a lot.
And I was talking to some agency guys earlier too. One of the things that we were talking about with him, honestly, was like, dude, we kind of overestimate sometimes the jump up in competition. Like some guys just fall through the cracks and slip through the cracks at the FCS level, Division II level, Division III level. Now with NIL, everyone's kind of going up when they get discovered. But sometimes guys like this just slip through the cracks, and they could really play at any level. So it's cool to see him get to go on a stage like this and perform like that.
Max, I'll stay with you. Who's next on your list?
A guy that is not under the radar. A guy that we ranked as one of the 5 best college football players this year. But a guy who might be going under the radar for the draft is Jacob Rodriguez, the linebacker from Texas Tech. And actually, I remember I was sitting next to Dalton watching the team drills. I was like, man, I haven't seen Jacob Rodriguez really do anything. Well, immediately when I said that, interception, forced fumble, he immediately proved me wrong. So J-Rod has been a superstar, man. In fact, a 93 PFF grade this year. Not only the best of any linebacker in the country, it's the best of any Power 4 linebacker we have ever seen in PFF. So he is an unbelievable player. 7 forced fumbles this year, tied for the 5th most in college football history. 4 interceptions this year. He is a turnover machine, and he had a pick and a forced fumble here at practice today.
He's so instinctive, right? He's so instinctive to the football. He flies to the ball at all times, and he understands that he can flip the game on any individual play, right? You talk about that right cross that he threw. I believe was it Adam Randall carrying the ball? I believe it was that right cross he threw on the football. We watched that all season, man. It felt like every 10 snaps he was making some huge impact play. Ends the team period with an interception of Sawyer Robertson. I mean, that's just what Rodriguez does, right? He makes up for maybe a little bit of a lack of tools with IQ, instinct, and just the ability to affect the game in a big way on any given play.
It is so hard to get a 93 overall grade in season for a linebacker. Because think about everything that you have to do as a linebacker. I mean, you obviously have to defend the run. You have to tackle well. You have to cover well. Sometimes it's running back. Sometimes it's tight end. Sometimes it's wide receiver. Sometimes it's zone drop. Sometimes it's man coverage, right? There's so many things that you have to do as a linebacker that, to be honest, there's so many areas of your game that you can get dinged in points because you have so many responsibilities. The way that you grade this highly is sure. That's not to say that Jacob Rodriguez was perfect this year, but he made the biggest plays, the turnovers, right? I mean, it's just the most valuable thing that you can do as a linebacker, and you guys can see it right there on the screen. Again, this is from the big board. You can see this if you search the big board. Jacob Rodriguez, he's 90th overall right now on our consensus or predictive MDS board that we have, but you see that 93 overall grade right there. You see all the defensive snaps, all the different snaps that he played, the coverage grade, that 92.3 coverage grade, just because of how reliable he was. He's been fantastic. I think he's been as advertised of what you wanted to see from Jacob Rodriguez. He has been that this week.
Absolutely. 7 forced fumbles this season, 4 interceptions this season, and we've talked about it, leading what maybe was the best defense in the country. We talked about some Texas Tech guys yesterday, and Romello Height and Lee Hunter. Jacob Rodriguez is living up to the billing.
So the next player that I want to bring up and talk about, I'm searching him on the big board right now. Josh Cameron the
Yeah.
wide receiver from Baylor. I've got him right around 200 on the big board. So, it's sort of like a 6th, 7th round pick type of a player. He is 6'1", about 225 pounds. So he's not built like your traditional wide receiver. But what I loved about his tape is he gave you a little bit of extra explosiveness because he's a little bit more muscled up as a prospect. But the hands, man.
He's made some tough catches this
So,
week.
I mean, time and time again. I know you don't want to live in that contested catch world. That's not always ideal. You'd much rather create the separation than have to live with a ton of contested catches. But Dalton, this past year, like you just said, a 59.3% contested catch percentage. 60% is incredibly high. Drop rate of just 1.4%. This guy's never dropping the football if it's hitting his hands. So that those catchable passes caught percentage is probably very, very high from him. And here in Mobile, multiple reps I'm watching in the team drills and the one-on-ones, when he is getting thrown the ball, a lot of times there's a defender that's close to him, hanging over him, but he's coming down with it every single time. And so the lack of separation, probably why he is going to be more of that maybe mid-day 3 type of a pick, but somebody who I think coaches are going to love because he's physical in every aspect that you want and need him to be at the receiver spot.
I think the big thing, too, is he's made some nice catches over the middle of the field in both days.
Which is
right?
key.
Which at Baylor, their offense is so spread out and so vertical and so wide open out toward the numbers that some of the in-cuts and catches he's making on those, I think, are really big for his development. You mentioned it, the physicality, 6'1", 220. Watching him out here in person, he looks like one of the running backs. He's wearing
yes.
number 34. Honestly,
which is we got to talk to him about that.
There's a couple.
It's terrible wide receiver number.
It really is, but he's always.
We've got to talk to him about it.
I mean, and honestly, I've seen him a couple of times. I'm like, why is his back over here with the receivers?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then it's like, and he looks like one too.
He does.
It's not just the number. I
Yes.
mean, but after the catch, he's very intriguing to me also. Where you get the ball in his hands, and when he gets the motor running in the open field, he can be a real problem. I think he's another guy who's just embraced the physicality. He's embraced the spotlight of this event. You're right. He's made a lot of tough catches. I think the middle of the field is key for him.
I was just going to say, the after the catch ability, you can't show that here at the Senior Bowl. But that's something that's one of the best parts of his game at Baylor, too. So the fact that that's not even being shown here at the Senior Bowl just shows that, he's probably a diamond in the rough right now in the receiver class.
Yeah. I've just really enjoyed watching him, and I think that he's somebody who a lot of people are going to take notice of. And, again, the ceiling's maybe a little bit lower, but he feels like that kind of depth, wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, and like a guy who's probably going to give you his all on special teams as well. Like a depth roster player who's going to be a great special teamer for you too. Max, talk to the good people about Western Southern before we go on to our next handful of players.
Absolutely. Our game plan of the week is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. I think our game plan of the week might be having a producer whose fiance went to John Carroll.
That's true.
And
That's true.
We just got word from Eli that Elizabeth said, "Hey, I got the plug at John Carroll. I'll get you the tape from John Carroll."
We absolutely
So
need it.
she played softball at John Carroll. Hopefully she get the tape there.
That's the game plan of the week.
On Tyron Montgomery, absolutely. But just like every team wins starts with a great game plan, your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect you and your family so you can focus on winning today, knowing tomorrow is covered. Whether you're just starting out, building your dynasty, or looking to lock in long-term protection, their coverage options are designed to match your game plan. Visit westernsouthern.com/PFF to get your free life quote and start building your financial game plan today. Western and Southern, built to win, backed by over 130 years of helping people protect what matters most.
Dalton, third guy on your list, right?
Second.
Okay, second.
You keep going to the ads before I get my whole piece in here. I know I'm in the middle here, but you're really the middle.
I'm trying to switch it up a little bit. I'm trying to not as a host, you don't want to go me and then him and then just go back. I'm trying to be a little bit dynamic here, but
we should cut him off again. Just play the player prop tool video
that's
right now
probably-
before his second player.
we got a lot of really great stuff over at PFF.com. No, we'll get to it.
okay.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Had me. I thought you were just. I was like,
later.
I'll go on my whole 10-minute rant later. I'll give you 5 players after you.
So
play
who's
anyway.
your second player that you want to talk about from today's
I'll
practice?
go over to Max's Penn State Nittany Lions and another defensive lineman among many of them that dominated today, especially in the first practice. How about Zane Durant on the inside, number 28?
He looked good.
One of the more undersized guys here, but I'll tell you what, even in full pads, he was somebody who really stood out with his quickness and his hand usage, right? And that's how he's going to win. He's in that kind of Kalijah Cansey build for the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's undersized a little bit, but there was a lot of offensive linemen that had issues dealing with his leverage and his first step quickness, right?
Yeah.
That's how he's going to win. That's how those undersized defensive tackles are going to win, but it feels like they're getting more and more attention in the NFL now, because even maybe as a designated pass rusher type of player, because that's probably what he's going to be, a rotational pass rusher, he really caused a lot of problems today. I thought in the early part of practice, there was a lot of, especially the bigger interior offensive linemen that don't quite have the foot speed that Durant does. He gave him a lot of problems in the one-on-one pass rush reps.
Yeah, I was watching the individual position drills before they obviously get into the one-on-ones and then team drills. And something that the defensive line coaches were going through today was, you were chopping your feet around the bags that are near your feet, and then you're supposed to sort of like turn your hips, and then you hit one of the bags, and then you're really supposed to like dip and get around, and then you essentially put your hands up, sack the quarterback, or cause a fumble, whatever that is. And the coaches kept getting on these guys about staying low. Get low. Don't stay high for this rep, because then you got to go up and down. He's like, we want you low, loaded. We want you to be able to explode with every single snap, and we want you to get that natural leverage. Zane Durant was one of the guys that I heard the coaches praise the most while the rep was going on, where he's like he just continued to praise him as he was getting low. And then you transition that into exactly what you said. When we got into the team portion, leverage is the word that you use. He was so consistent with his leverage, and he is a smaller defensive tackle, like you said, and so that's really the ways where he needs to win. And there was a lot of hype about him coming into the season. Some people believed he could potentially be a top 50 overall pick, but when you go to his spot on the big board, he's right around. I've got him again, same spot, around 200. So probably 5th, 6th round tape from what I saw this past season with him and some of the physical limitations, but if you have a place on your defensive line where you're okay playing a little bit smaller of a lineman and just letting him attack, that's something that you see on the screen from the big board. 63.3 overall pass rush grade against true pass sets when he really gets to pin his ears back. That can be an advantageous part of a team that wants to be aggressive.
And I love that you brought up those bag drills, those individual drills, because something, I look at everybody's feet at any position here, because that's so key to their success, right? And you look at not only, okay, you can be quick all you want, right? You can be explosive, you can be quick, but if you're not efficient with those steps, right? You're not efficient with your hand usage and the leverage and all of that. If you're taking extra steps, it doesn't matter how fast, because if you're taking 4 steps and somebody else is taking 2, they're going to win that battle, the guy taking 2 steps there. So Durant not only is quick, he was efficient today. Talk about the bag drills, he brings it to one-on-ones, it translates to the team drills, and he was really good all day.
Yeah, obviously a bit of a down year at Penn State this past year. I remember going into the year, a lot of people were saying, hey, if he's going to win at the NFL level, it's got to be a lot like Kalijah Cansey, what he was doing at Pitt coming out too. And I don't think he's that level of prospect who's going to be a top 20 pick like Kalijah Cansey was, but I do think Zane Durant showed off that quickness today and showed why so many people were so high on him going into the year.
Max, will stay with you.
So last one I want to shout out is Davis Igbinosun, who made a couple of really nice PBUs. And one of them that Dalton and I saw, Trevor, was incredible because it was Kevin Coleman lined up against...
Oh, those two were going at it.
They were going at it.
Practice.
So Kevin Coleman was lined up against Fred Davis, the Northwestern corner. And Fred Davis was ready to do his rep. And Kevin Coleman said, no. I want Igbinosun.
Oh.
And Fred was like, dude, I'm out here already. He's like, no. I want Igbinosun. Igbinosun's like...
There were a couple of those today where...
They're calling people out, man.
Who was it? On the O-line, D-line drills, Bo Stevens, the offensive lineman, who did he lost a rep.
Daryl Jackson.
Yep. He lost a rep to Daryl Jackson, and he goes up and he picks up the ball. He puts it down. He points at Daryl Jackson again. He says, "Run the rep again."
Yep, and he won it.
And he won the second one. Like that's the competitiveness that you start to talk about on day 2 and 3.
And Coleman obviously called him out. Igbinosun went out there. Everyone's getting fired up because of it. And Igbinosun won the rep, got a PBU. Little bit, of course, it's Davis and Igbinosun. It's a little bit grabby at the top of the route. And Kevin Coleman was saying,
did they call it?
They didn't call it.
They wanted a little grabby.
Whoa,
it was good crabbing.
Here's what happened. He said Kevin Coleman was like, "Oh, that was PI. And Igbinosun looking around. He comes to the sideline, goes to his teammates, and goes, Was there a flag? Was there a flag? They're like, nope. He's like, then who the hell cares? It was fine. So Igbenogson, man, obviously, 21 penalties over the last 2 years. He's kind of known as being a very maybe overly physical corner, but 81 PFF grade this past year. A lot of people think he could be a day 2 pick in the NFL draft at corner, and I just love that rep and multiple reps from Igbenogson so far this week.
Let's be real. Not only that's the best part about having access on the field is not just seeing these guys up close, seeing the build, seeing the skills, all that stuff. We get to find out who the elite shit talkers are.
That's
honestly,
very true.
You could argue that's the best part of field access.
100%. I mean, that was Bud Clark too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You had a type today.
I did. Dude, if you talk shit, I love it. I love it, man.
You have to.
You could be terrible and still talk shit. I'm like, that's one of my standouts.
I tell people all the time, it's a prerequisite for playing corner. Like you can't. Yep. It just very few times will you find a top tier corner being very soft spoken, right? Like it does not happen often, and so
look at Jalen Ramsey, man.
One of the best all time, right?
Deion Sanders,
basically every great corner is of that mold, and so I love it. You see on the big board 80 man coverage grade.
Yep.
That's what Igbenogson is all about. You mentioned that he's got he had a good amount of penalties, which I think is just his style. But any team that's very aggressive and likes to play a lot of press man, this guy's going to be an option for them. I would say probably as like a priority day 3 type of a
yeah.
Feels like one of those Brian Flores type of players, huh? All that press man and zero blitz and all that.
Could be, yeah.
And the other word for a good cornerback, resilience. And there was a couple of times where he got beat today, even vertically, and he comes right back and he gets right back in the phone booth and he goes, okay, let's go again. Let's get after it. He's been resilient throughout his career at Ohio State, obviously a national champion last year, and came back in this Senior Bowl practice. Man, he was really good, really physical. When he gets his hands on you, he is a problem.
To make sure I don't, miss on your third guy.
Oh, I don't have to go last. Wow, fantastic.
Go ahead. Who's your third guy?
I'll go the wide receiver. I'll go on the other side of that competitive group of the American team there. And a guy, you know what? I watched his tape. Last week he was a late ad. Kind of surprised me a little bit at receiver. And I said, you know what? This guy might come out here and do something. How about the Cincinnati wide receiver? Going back home to Cincinnati, Cyrus Allen. I'll tell you what. When this guy gets when he gets a free release off the line of scrimmage. Boy, his feet are lightning quick. Even watching him go through different bag drills and cone drills that the receivers were doing, I was like, man, this guy's feet chop at a different speed than everybody else here. Like, he gets into his cuts at an efficient rate. He explodes out of them. He knows how to separate, even at the line of scrimmage now in team drills. He didn't get the ball a lot in team drills today, but man, when he was even facing press man coverage, he understood how to release and get off. Because if you get your hands on him, he's a little bit smaller. I think he's only about 180 pounds.
Yes.
He's not the most physical player, but when he gets a clean release off the line of scrimmage, he explodes in and out of his cuts. I think he's got some of the best feet of any receiver here. He's really impressed me through 2 days of practice.
He had one of my favorite reps. I was like Max. I was watching a little bit more of the wide receivers and DBs today, and he was somebody who I can't remember which corner he was going up against, but he cooked him on a double move.
Yeah.
Like, again, the corner, whoever it was, didn't get early hands on him, gave him kind of that free release. They got up the sideline, and it was, like a quick little stutter step, sold it really well, and then, boom, got straight back up into his vertical route. And he created a ton of separation for a big catch down the sideline. So I have also been really impressed with who he is as a route runner this week.
He was even a little bit frustrated on a couple of reps in the team drills that he won down the field and just didn't get the football. And you could see he was like, man, just give me a shot. Yeah, I think it was Garrett Nussmeier that he might have been talking to after. He was like, man, just give me one shot one of these times, because he's one of those receivers who comes back to the huddle. He's like,
I'm always open, man.
He's like, dude, I got him. Trust me, I got him. Just lay it out there, right? And obviously the pass protection and different things that go into that as well. But no, I think he's been really good so far. One of the more surprising players here.
So the last guy that I want to talk about, Naeem Tucker, the edge rusher from Western Michigan, who was one of the highest graded edge rushers that we had this season. Incredible pass rush win percentage. He is a little bit smaller, so he's that outside linebacker type of edge rusher. But, man, again, going back to the individual drills, which I was paying close attention to today, they were running the hoop drill, right? And that's to see, okay, how quick can you turn the hips, and more importantly, how quickly can you bend? There were a lot of the edge rushers where the coaches were kind of getting on him because they were doing too much, like, hip flipping instead of truly, like, trying to run the arc and run around the hoop that's on the ground. They didn't have to say that about Naeem Tucker, because he was like, nope, this is exactly my wheelhouse. Yep. So you tell me where to line up, and I'm going to execute pretty well. There was another rep that he had during the team portion of practice where if it was an actual game, Sawyer Robertson might have, gotten double teamed through a table via, like the Hardy Boys, with Nadeem Tucker coming off the edge on one side and then Romello Height on the other, because Romello Height looked like he was going to come up high on him, and Nadeem Tucker was kind of coming down low, and it really looked like it would have been a WWE tag team finisher move if that was an actual game. So Sawyer's glad that it wasn't.
That rep was hilarious too, because I'm sitting up in the stands watching team drill. I can see a little better, and I have eyes on Tucker, and I'm like, man, he just put a hell of a ghost move on Cage Casey, right?
Yeah.
And then Max on the same rep, where we had the group, the group text going just to communicate throughout the stadium. He's on the field and he's like, dude, what are you talking about? That was Romello Height. I was like, no, unless they changed the number 11's Nadeem Tucker. I saw it with my own eyes. I'm not lying to you.
Listen, I got Romello Height wrong before, so it's a fair call.
That's true.
David Baylor.
That's David.
I can't trust you now. This is what happens. I can't trust you. But no, we're going back and forth. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, it was Nadeem Tucker. And he's like, well, what about Romello Height? I'm like, maybe they both wore the same.
And they both did.
We looked at the clip and it was like, oh, it was both of them, man.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we're lucky that Sawyer Robertson had the non-contact on. You're right, because that would have been a problem.
93.3 pass rush grade this past season, 63 total pressures from him, 27.5% pass rush win percentage. So Tucker has been awesome throughout this past season of college football, and it was really kind of like a one-year wonder this past season, because he really wasn't able to get on the field a lot when he was at Houston, but obviously showcasing here that what he was this past year with Western Michigan is a lot closer to what he could be when we see him in the NFL.
The only edge rusher who had a higher pass rush grade than Nadeem Tucker was my guy, David Bailey.
Romello Height.
Yeah, Romello Height. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, but it was David Bailey, actually. And you mentioned before, highest pass rush win rate in the country. And Dalton and I remember we only did one Western Michigan game preview, unfortunately, this year, which was the MAC title game. So we did every conference title game.
Sure.
I remember when we did the preview, like, who the hell is this Nadeem Tucker guy?
Yeah.
And we turned on the tape, and we were actually watching the game, I remember, in Dalton's apartment, and Western Michigan won that game, too, so shout out to them. But Tucker was unbelievable in that game. And Dalton and I are like, dude, we got to watch the tape on this guy. We were watching Tucker's tape, and we're like, dude, whoever the Senior Bowl gets him, or whoever drafts this guy in day 3 of the NFL draft is going to get a steal.
Yep.
So it's cool to see him kind of win at this rate here, the Senior Bowl. And I think he'll be a really good DPR at the next level.
Yes, yep.
Clutch, too. I think, was it 10 pressures and 2 sacks in the MAC title game? I think, if I remember that, with like a 90 pass rush grade.
I'm pulling it up.
In the biggest game of the year to win the conference. 10 pressures, 2 sacks, 91.2 pass rush grade in the biggest game of the year. Maybe proving himself clutch out here again.
It is one of those things that, like, I've heard from scouts and just, like, big media members that have been doing this for a long, long time. They want to see, a lot of times you want to see, like, okay, what was his best game, what was his worst game, but then also, like, when there was some hardware on the line.
Yeah.
Whether it's, a conference championship or a national championship, obviously, or even like a big-time bowl game, what were you like in those moments? And so to see that, I think, actually will go a long way for NFL teams. And I agree, he's kind of in that preferred mid-round designated pass rusher type of a spot here. So, hey, we do have a lot of really great things over at PFF.com. One of which, well, you're gonna have to hold on to it now at this point. One of which is the PFF player prop tool, and if you were a bettor at all whatsoever, you need to check it out. So check it out.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth, and the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff, because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.
You guys can see that and so much more with a PFF Plus subscription. Subscribe at PFF.com is the best way to get that. Wrapping up our Day 2 coverage here in Mobile at the Senior Bowl, we obviously gave you our 9 standout players, but now we'll do some quick hitters on some other players that we think really stood out. Max, who you got? You got a couple of names here?
First of all, I thought the linebackers today were outstanding.
I do too.
Bryce Betcher, Kyle Lewis, Xavier Sori was all over the place. The Arkansas linebacker, he was phenomenal today.
Owen Heineke from Oklahoma?
Yeah.
It was linebacker day.
Betcher was one of my standouts until I changed it last second. He was awesome today too. I was blown away by Bryce Betcher. So
I agree with you though.
Kyle Lewis too.
Kyle Lewis was great. Owen Heineke looked like he was a man possessed today. Some of the run defense drills. He was looking to pop the pads today.
And it's a terrific linebacker class too. We haven't had a great linebacker class. It feels like in a long time. It's a really good
deep.
one this year.
It's really deep. I don't know how many first Sonny Styles probably. CJ Allen maybe as well. First round caliber linebackers.
I don't know if you count Alvaro Reese in that group too, but yeah.
No, well, he's
even as a linebacker, he probably would still go first round.
He's just
on the
different.
athleticism.
He's different. He's different.
Because I do think he's a linebacker more than I actually think he's an edge rusher, but he's just a different type of player.
Anthony Hill, CJ Allen.
But it is, to your point, it's a really good linebacker class, and here we're learning a bunch of depth names as well.
Yeah, they're terrific. You want to shout out the best player of the day, or?
Oh, the best individual player.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Arkansas Razorbacks. They've got a school record 6 guys here. One of them, their starting quarterback, Talon Green.
Throw of the day, baby.
Tell you what, Talon Green, sometimes it can be a bit up and down, but the up is really, really high. How about a play-action throw? I believe it was a play-action throw in a team drill. Deep post to Malachi Fields. Fields had to work around the corner, and Michael Taft. Michael Taft did a little bit of guesswork here. He thought he was going to the in-cut. Instead, took him to the post. So Fields opened downfield. Talon Green makes a legitimate 60-yard throw down the middle of the field. Impressive throw. We know he's got a huge arm, 6'6". He's got great tools, great athleticism, but also I thought the catch by Malachi Fields was just because Fields was cutting across because he had already had Michael Taft, the safety, be long gone, right? And Green put it a little bit upfield, more towards the goalpost for him, and Fields adjusting back to it as well to make a diving catch. and a legitimate 60-yard ball. It just shows you the home run ability that I think somebody could still draft Talon Green just to see if can we unlock a little more of this, right? Because he's the best athlete of any quarterback here.
Yeah.
He's got the biggest
No
arm
question.
of any. And even in some routes on air, I'm like, this guy makes 50, 60, 65 yards look like nothing. But he showed that in the team drills, and man, that home run ability is what makes him at times in his tape so enticing.
Would you categorize that as a big time throw?
Yeah.
If you were watching the throw, would you say out loud, "Wow, that was a big time throw"?
Yeah, I would say so.
You would.
Yeah,
You would.
that was,
+1?
Sometimes they're obvious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd go +1 there. He led Fields a little bit upfield there. It just wasn't perfect, but it was good enough.
It really is, though. We talked about this with Malachi Fields yesterday, and it's funny that it manifests here on Day 2. There are times when you watch Malachi Fields where you just go, okay,
awesome,
I understand kind of what you are. You're a bigger, somewhat plus athlete as a bigger wide receiver, but you got great hands to you. You can get vertical. And then you'll see a rep like this, and you go, okay, there's more there. We don't see it consistently from him quite yet, but this is why I think a lot of people at Notre Dame were very excited to get him in the transfer portal, what he was able to do in moments this year, and why I think the NFL could very well make this guy a top 100 pick.
Yeah.
I think that there is a very realistic possibility that Malachi Fields is a top 100 pick in the third round.
No, he's moving up boards this week.
I
no
agree.
question. He's been one of the best players here through the first 2 days. And I think also in one-on-ones you've noticed against press coverage, really done a nice job to get off the football, get his release, and get into his route quickly. That's been the biggest question, but he's answering it this week.
Even the individual drills that Dalton and I were watching earlier, when it's just all about footwork and trying to get out of your breaks and agility, a drill that really is not suited for Malachi Fields. He was still one of the better receivers in that drill too. So he's way more fluid than you would expect for a 6'4" receiver.
I thought Vinny Anthony II, the wide receiver from Wisconsin, actually had a really great day. What's the Texas A&M guy's name?
Tight end?
Yes.
Nate Berkshire.
Berkshire is how you say his last name. He was super strong at the catch point today. A lot of really good one-on-one reps from him. One of my favorites that I got to see that was him it was getting a little bit vertical towards the goal line. He didn't quite get into the end zone for it, but man, I mean, the guy is just draped all over him, and he comes down with the catch. That's what you want to see from these tight ends. The Grayson Halton from Oklahoma also really stood out again, a little bit like he did yesterday. So he's stacking big days. Maybe we get another big day from him, and he ends up just being an overall winner on the class. But yeah, those are a lot of names that we noticed that we really loved. Obviously, we'll get back to watching a lot of the tape of these practices as well, and be able to have some more takeaways with you guys. We're going to be back with you for a day 3 recap, same spot, same time tomorrow. And then, of course, we will have a bonus video for you later this week. It will be the post-Senior Bowl mock draft, one of our favorite traditions here on this YouTube channel, because we get to talk about some of these guys that, you know, maybe were first rounders. Okay, where are they gonna fit in the first round? Maybe some guys climbing into the first round, especially if we maybe do a couple of mock draft suggestions for those teams that don't have first round picks. I got a feeling we'll probably get a couple of these names in there as well, but make sure you guys subscribe to the PFF YouTube channel here so you guys don't miss any of that. Like we said yesterday, follow all the PFF socials as well. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We are wall to wall here in Mobile, firing off clips for you guys, instant analysis, all of that great stuff. So make sure you're following all the social channels as well. For everybody behind the cameras producing this once again very frigid show, for Max Chadwick, for Dalton Wasserman, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow for day 3.